Have you ever wanted to be a werewolf where you can go around causing havoc like this? What about being a stealthy wolf and messing people up like this?
Weapons ready. So, hostile in sight.
How about being a bald mustachioed human and getting to do this? Well, this is Werewolf the Apocalypse Earthblood, a video game based on a tabletop game which sees you facing off against Endron, an evil oil company who is destroying the planet. And they're in cahoots with an evil destructive spirit called the Worm. So of course, you team up with humans, your clan leader werewolf, and a talking tree.
Your cairn needs you, and the wild has need of your protection.
Condoms mainly.
Eater of
Now the story is important and all, but if the gameplay isn't great, then I might as well be reading a book, which I can't do because I can't read. The gameplay is all about your three forms. As Cahal in human form, you spend your time opening doors and using computers to open doors. If that doesn't sound fun, you also get to sniff flowers. I'm not even joking. You also get to engage in conversations.
Right. If you need.
There are occasional times you can skip the boring conversations by choosing to show how bored you are by just killing them and everyone around them. The only other thing about being in human form is you get a crossbow, but it's a bit boring and I didn't really use it because I could go around doing this. Playing as Doggo, you can go around ventilation systems, sneak past enemies, break necks, and bark. You can do this too.
something.
Most of the combat is done in werewolf form. When you go into werewolf mode, it's just hacking and slashing your way through enemy after enemy. It just all ends up in you spamming buttons. Ooh, square, triangle, square, triangle. Ooh, let me mix it up a bit with X. You have light attacks, heavy attacks, and even jumping attacks. And yeah, it's not the most complex system. It's generally fine, but most of the enemies are about as threatening as a fart. Even though it might make sense why Cahal is so concerned about someone farting.
Watkins has released his gas across the whole region. You've got to get out right now.
Initially, the combat is fun as you pick up guards and rip them up or throw them about. It's mindless fun for a while, even if some of them are absolute wimps. In fact, they go down for you easier than my ex-girlfriend. A subtle breeze would knock them over. But it gets tiring. So tiring because you just keep doing the same thing over and over, and the game's just constantly throwing enemies at you. And yeah, there's turrets or mechs, but you end up just facing wave after wave as an excuse for difficulty. It's just the same thing again and again and again. And whilst you can unlock different moves and stuff, to me they didn't really add anything exciting that really changes things from spam, 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 spam. Oh, look at me pressing the same buttons over and over again. So you end up doing the same things by the end of the game that you were doing in the beginning hour or two. Your other choice in the game is to use stealth to your advantage. But the stealth in this game isn't great either. You can crouch walk around in human form like a dickhead, but you're better off going all doggo.
Huh? What?
But all the guards are absolute idiots. It seems like the developer forgot to give them the ability to see. I could literally jump up and down right next to them and they don't give a crap. They often seem completely oblivious to your presence unless you're right in front of them. It's an absolute joke. I could literally walk around taking their friends out right near them and they rarely batter an eyelid. Maybe because they don't have eyes. I would literally bark at the guards and kill them and no one cared. Sometimes it's like they were just ignoring what was happening, standing there or walking around daydreaming, probably wondering what they're going to do once they get all this time off walking around the same routes and staring at walls. Hello? Hello, can you see me? I'm just jumping in front of you and you're standing there like a moron. I'm a doggo and isn't it a bit weird I'm here just jumping about? When you go into some areas, you can hear a couple of the guards having a general conversation. And then they would conveniently place themselves in locations where you can easily sneak up on them and take them out.
They've taken all our outposts, and they're coming for us next. Let's show them what a mistake that is.
I don't get their routes sometimes either. Why are guards just staring at walls or making notes about bins? Yes, I'm sure there's a need to make notes about bins every 20 seconds. Walk around, check the bins. Oh, I'm so glad I've got this important job and it pays well. What's with this guy staring at the drinks machine? Why? Does he really need to take that long to decide? Do I want a drink or not? Oh, well, now I'm dead. If only I was able to make a choice between flipping Dr. Pepper and Fanta quicker, I'd still be able to breathe. What I also don't get is there's all this violence going on. Guards are using their walkie-talkies to let everyone know, requesting backup, etc. But by the time that you've torn everyone to shreds and go to the next area, they're all walking around like nothing has happened. No one seems bothered that their mates next door just got ripped to shreds from a raging werewolf. Hey Jeff, did you notice that explosion next door? Yeah Bob, I did Bob, but I just pretend nothing's happening because that's what everybody else does. Well then Jeff, I guess that explains why there's 467 flipping casualties at work this month. Also, what's the point of being a doggo if no one can pet you anyway? After the midpoint of the game, it does try to change things up a little bit. There's a prison section which I actually didn't think was too bad. You're tasked with taking out a couple of the other inmates, and I don't mean out on a date. As the guards are absolutely moronic though, you can just go all doggo behind them and go through the vents and into the different areas of the prison to do your business. And I don't mean dog poo. Although, this prisoner does sound constipated.
I give you your fix. And if I got a problem with someone, you give me a hand. Not a bad deal, right?
The game also changes the enemies up a bit, but they're not dramatically different from anything you've experienced before, and this is when the game starts to drag soon enough because, to be honest, once you've played the first hour or so, you've seen everything this game really has to offer because the gameplay loop just isn't fun enough. Some positives though, checkpoints are quite frequent, so when you mess up you don't have a ridiculous amount to trek back on, and once you fail a boss battle it's not like you've got to do the entire level again. Graphically, if you like early PlayStation 4 era graphics, then that's what you can expect, which is fine if I wasn't playing the PlayStation 5 version of the game. So much of this game is find an entrance vent, go doggo, use computer, unlock door, go through door, find a vent, go doggo, use computer, unlock door, eventually turn into a werewolf, rip people to shreds, play with yourself in the shower. I did enjoy throwing people about though, but it did get repetitive. It's like me saying it's repetitive is getting repetitive, which it is now. But it is a game which reminds me of one of those PlayStation 3, Xbox 360 era games like Dark Sector or Prototype. It's far from the greatest game you'll play this year, but it's not completely terrible either. So does this game deserve to go in the Games Dungeon vault and be burnt for eternity? Well, no, it's not that bad. It's not something that deserves to be placed in the vault, but it's not something I'd really recommend either. Well, unless you can get it super cheap and you have an affinity for werewolves, talking trees, mutants, and deadly farts.
Watkins has released his gas across the whole region. You've got to get out right now.
Games Dungeon!
That thing better not have brought.
Wee! 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 Woohoo! Wee! I'm a doggo and having fun! Wee!